And there we go. Thursday, 10 in the morning, where we're at, which is Central Time. I guess it's 11 o'clock Eastern Time. It's been a great week so far. We got sunshine here, which is nice. Got a little bit of sun this morning. It's been a few days without very much sun. A lot of work, a lot of computer time. Finally got a little bit of sunlight this morning. That felt good. We've got Adam, Jesse, Suzanne, and Suzanne here. It was a beautiful morning. It's been nice watching the main chat. Lots of people sharing some really amazing stories. Really enjoyed reading Kinderly's latest post, talking about her history with veganism. Feeling really good on carnivore. Says she doesn't feel a push to tell everyone this like prideful vegan way. She's just finding what works for her, and this is great. Now, especially coming out of veganism, carnivore is a fantastic reset. Right now, if you are underweight, which there are a few people, that come out of veganism, they're underweight. Sometimes people get into a vegan diet to lose weight. They end up losing too much lean muscle mass. But what happens? Sorry, guys, we got an alarm. Kids are playing with the little clock. They're getting kicked out. Um, but if you're underweight on a vegan diet and you're coming out of it, carnivore can be a great way to reset your gut, get the immune system functioning well, and eventually you can add some more carbohydrates if you want to gain more weight, if you're having trouble gaining weight. So a lot of people find that some fruit, carefully selected fruit, that they can handle that very well. Things like honey, and even like white rice as a carbohydrate. It's another one very easy to digest, especially compared to like all these other whole grains that people recommend to you. You want to go for the easily digestible carbohydrate sources if you're trying to gain weight and use carbohydrates. Right, coming out of a carnivore diet, you don't have to go full keto forever. You can use some carbohydrates, especially if you're underweight. That might be helpful. It's all about context, though, right? If you're trying to lose weight, if you got 100 pounds to lose, you don't really have to think about the carbohydrates for a long time. I mean, you got what you want to do is build a solid foundation of metabolizing fat for energy, getting enough protein, getting enough of the animal-based nutrition sources, getting the deep, nourishing, fat-soluble vitamins from the animal foods, getting enough protein that's bioavailable and digestible from those animal foods, and letting your body burn that body fat. All right, let me come over to the Q&A questions. Okay. Kinderly has got a question. She says, "I'm hurting this morning, guys. Have a wonderful session. I had to go on antibiotics. What would you do to build the body back up after taking them? I'm strict carnivore for now, so I'm not doing ferments, etc. at this time, but I will if that's your counsel. I was thinking on a probiotic for a while, trying to stay away from any kind of supplements, but I must do what's necessary. Sorry if this is off topic." It's not off topic at all. Kinderly soup, when you go on antibiotics, it sucks, right? They wipe out your gut. There are some supplemental probiotics that can be beneficial. Most probiotic supplements are useless. They're transient strains. There's one called, and I'll private message you this. It's called Just Thrive. Actually, I'll answer it for you in the Q&A question section. Just Thrive probiotic. That's a good one that you can use. It has non-transient strains that actually will colonize the gut. Right? So it has some strains like Bacillus clausii, and some other spore-based probiotic strains that will colonize the gut and that can help create more antioxidants. So these are antioxidant-producing microbes that a lot of people do well with this one. So I would suggest maybe taking it for 3 to 4 months at least after your antibiotic use, and then doing some fermentation could be a great idea, like a little bit of kefir, and building up slowly, a little bit of raw milk maybe if you can handle dairy. A lot of people who thought they couldn't handle dairy can do really well with raw dairy. You just got to increase it slowly. Right, so aged cheeses, those can be a good source of natural bacteria. Fresh meat digests very, very well. Right, don't cook your meat way too much, and just build up the biome from there. So, Kinderly, sorry to hear about that. If you have any more specific questions about the topic, make sure to private message us or just tag us in whichever section you think it would correspond to, or tag us in the Q&A section. Thanks a lot, Kinderly. Sorry to hear you got to go on the antibiotics. That is never fun. All Um, Randall had a question. He says, this is slightly off topic, but still relevant. What's the best resource or argument to those who say the climate crisis is real and that being vegan helps the planet? All right. Well, there's a lot of assumptions built into that, right? I mean, the climate crisis being real. I mean, when you look at the word climate crisis, it's very rhetorical. It's a very empty statement, right? Climate crisis. You can apply this to anything, right? Anytime there's a hurricane, climate crisis. Anytime it rains, climate crisis. Well, the sun goes down. It's a climate crisis, right? What we're really looking at, there's a lot of manipulation of data that can be proven. I mean, the IPCC documents from 2008, I think it was, the Climate Gate documents where it showed that they were manipulating data. There's a guy on Twitter named Ned Nikolov, and he and some other scientists just published an article showing that what they believe to be solid proof that we're looking at cyclical changes in atmospheric composition and atmospheric conditions that will lead to uh, changes in climate due to not the greenhouse gas effect, but they say that that's completely useless. So we're looking at cycles of the sun. The sun, the huge ball of light that gives us all the light in the physical world, that thing might have something to do with climate, these crazy people think. So, I mean, there's a lot of different angles you can tackle that one from. I mean, just simply showing them the Club of Rome's 1992 report, where they basically say we need to use climate change and global warming as an excuse to bring in a global governing system. We need the people to unite against this common threat, which would really be themselves, right? We want to wage war globally against against humanity itself. They said humanity itself is the enemy. In the 1992 Club of Rome report called "The First Global Revolution." So I mean, there's a lot of history behind a lot of this stuff. You can look at how why big oil conquered the world, which is Corbett documentary he put out a long time ago. Corbett does a lot of really good work talking about the global warming thing. There's a documentary. I don't remember exactly which angle they took, but there was the Great Global Warming Swindle documentary. I mean, this stuff's been people have been critiquing this movement for a long time. Obviously, there's environmental devastation due to industrial agriculture, due to big industry. There's deforestation. There's so much stuff going on, but they want you to focus on just climate and on just CO2 rather, right? This really broad thing about climate is destroying everything. The climate's going to change. But these are basically techniques utilized by as a control mechanism for a long time, right? The mystical forces of nature are going to kill you. They're going to destroy us all. The crops aren't going to grow. We're going to need to throw the virgins in the volcano. We need to worship the priesthood. We need to let big tech run everything. We need to let big tech uh, fill our legislations, dictate legislation about carbon pricing, which is basically taxing all life. Like these are the solutions that we're being given, which are pretty nonsensical and counterintuitive, and essentially empower the most polluting companies in the world get massive benefits from this, and they're trying to create a giant global carbon taxation scheme and a global Green New Deal, they call it. So there's a lot of stuff. What?
That one, and what was the other link you said? Global warming documentary?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd recommend that documentary. I just remember it
Oh, okay.
from like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Um, so, yeah, you can find that Club of Rome report, that white paper, that book, The First Global Revolution. You can find that for free online as a PDF too.
And I'll put you and Jay's
All right.
stream in there when you talk about
Yeah,
it.
if you check out Jay and my stream about that document, it's called Clubbing for the Climate. It's about the Club of Rome. You would learn a little bit about what's going on there. It's got Bill Nye on the preview image, and one of his security guards in plain clothes that looks like a poor man's Bruce Willis behind him.
Yeah, he does.
Um, all right, so let's move on. We'll jump over to the live voice chat, and if you guys have questions, we will start from the bottom, won't we? Started at the top last time. Hey, Suzanne. Oh, I can't hear you. Let me make sure. Let me change my voice settings. Output device. Suzanne. Hey, there you are. Okay, let's I can't hear you very well. You're very low. I'll just turn up the user volume and I'll see if that gets better. Can you hear
I'll
me?
turn mine up too. Hang
It
on there.
turn your output
Is that
volume.
better?
No. Let me see.
No.
No, I don't. Let's see if I've.
It
Um,
might be me.
it's coming out of my speakers. It's just the sound is so low. Let's try
Could be
turning it.
mine.
I've got my output volume up all the way. Can you still hear me? Can't hear you. Built-in output. Okay,
See if that works any better for you.
I can hear you, but the people in the recording might not be able to hear you very well. That's the only downside, but I can hear you.
Oh, I'm gonna put it up louder. Okay. There we go. Okay.
All right, how's it going, Suzanne? How's your week been?
Pretty good, thank you. Sleep's been a little erratic, but I don't know what that is. What was I gonna say? Never been a joint pain, but then again, I had a flu immunization, so it could be all related to that. Lost 4 pounds as of today, so I'm happy about that.
Nice. There you go. And how much? So that's almost 2 weeks now, or about 2 weeks. How much?
Right.
What are
Well,
you at total?
technically, I'm counting last Thursday because I wasn't being very good prior to that.
Okay.
So, yeah, as far as being, off the treats, off the garbage and everything.
All right. All right. Well, you're doing well now.
Yeah.
You're on track, and you're getting
Doing
progress.
fine. Yeah, feeling less hunger, trying to, eat enough though so we don't get hungry. And I do have a question today about, okay, out here in Vancouver, it's really difficult to source sometimes the grass-fed liver, and I don't want to eat the store market garbage.
Yeah.
So what do you think on average is a healthy amount? Like I can get access to it, but not a lot of it.
Look, get it once a month. Get a couple pounds of liver, like
Okay.
once a you should be able to find some once a month, right? That's probably enough. Like
Yeah.
maybe grab a couple pounds and eat it, to satiety. Like have it with a couple meals as a primary protein source with a couple meals that month. But you don't need liver every day. When you think about it, if you had a whole animal, if you had a whole ruminant, there's one liver, there's a couple kidneys, there's one brain. It's like you're not going to have liver every single day. Fresh liver is not available all the time. You eat it. The organs, you have them every now and then. But once a month is great. If you don't like it, there are people who get by perfectly fine without any. It's a good idea to include.
I'm liking it more and more as I'm. So that's good.
Good. Yeah. It all really comes down to personal preference. And if you feel good when you eat it, if you feel great, that's fantastic. Some people, they eat organs, they don't feel anything. Some people even say like, oh, I feel a little bit worse when I eat organs. So it's not. I think they're great to include. I love including them. They're as far as vitamin and mineral content, they're unparalleled as far as the certain nutrients go, and I think they're great to include. So yeah, once a month is fine.
What about cod liver? I love that stuff.
Yeah, cod liver's great.
Twice a week from Norway or someplace like that.
Yeah, I think once a week is fine on that. I mean, look, your body is going to self-regulate too. You're going to get to a point where you'll eat a food regularly, and then you just won't crave it for a few months, right? So I think when we do learn to tune into our body, we go through cycles of craving certain foods. We get the nutrients we need from them, and then we're not so hungry for them for a while. So I think twice a week is fine. I mean, it is something that's cod liver. It's a specific food. It's a very specific part of the animal that I wouldn't eat it every day, and you'd probably get sick of it if you ate it every day. You probably wouldn't want any after a few weeks, but listen to your body, have it when you want it, and don't overdo it. Like if you eat a whole can, it's a lot. It might be a little harsh on the liver just because of all the polyunsaturated fats, and some of those polyunsaturated fats, I don't know. I think people get really excited about omega-3s. I'm kind of neutral on it. I think they are obviously beneficial compared to omega-6, and the ratio can be important, but I don't think that pounding as much omega-3s into the diet as you can really ends up helping people. I haven't seen it play out that way, so I think people tend to go towards more ruminant meat and gravitate towards more ruminant meat for a reason. As far as nutrient profile, I think it's probably superior to a lot of these other foods. Shellfish are great, but you don't need tons of shellfish every day. Like once a week or so, having some shellfish. Once a week, having some organs. This is a great idea. Some people though, like they go perfectly fine without worrying about the organs too much. So yeah, it just really comes down to your individual situation. And I think getting a variety of cuts in, doing different cuts of meat, different types of animals regularly is great. But if there's one food that you just crave all the time and you're cool with eating the same thing all the time, some people feel fine and they don't like having to think about it. So some people are like, you know what? I'm going to eat ground beef for every meal this week. And they don't think about it. They just do it. They cook it up and it's like that's how they get by. So really, there's individual preference. Some people love variety. Some people are just like, I want it as boring as possible so I don't have to think about it. And somewhere in between is usually where most people fall, right? You automate certain things. You have certain meals where you just have all the time. And then for other meals, you rotate stuff in. You try new things here and there. But you've got a baseline of habits that you can always fall back on.
Good to know. Yeah. All right. Well, that was about it. Otherwise, I'm doing terrific. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, Suzanne. Glad you're doing well. Let us know if you need anything. And thanks for sharing.
Okay. Okay.
All right, we'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
Bye, Suzanne. All right, we got the other Suzanne. Suzanne, who I think is in Victoria. Feel free to unmute, Suzanne, if you can. Hopefully your volume is a little louder. Like I don't know what was happening, but I had a real hard time getting the volume loud enough. All right, we'll go up to Janet. If Suzanne's not around, she can jump in after she comes back. How's it going, Janet? Janet had a little slip up, had an off-plan meal. How's it going this week? I can't hear you. That's so weird. I see that you're speaking. You're highlighted green, but I can't hear you.
Should you disconnect and reconnect?
Try disconnecting and reconnecting, and I'll do the same. All right. I still can't hear you. Could anyone else hear her? Is it just me? Jessica, tell Heidi how to get into the voice chat. Here she is. Janet?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Janet. How's it going?
Oh, okay. I'm doing well. I'm actually a little energized today. I don't know if it's I'm trying to do some fasting because I feel like lately I've been having I've been testing my glucose levels.
Yeah.
And they've been really high. And it's weird because I'm just doing carnivore, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, all right, so you just had an off-plan meal the other day, right? So it can you can have elevated blood glucose levels after that. When you say pretty high, where are they? And what time are you measuring?
So yesterday was at 100, today is at 99, and I'm doing it early in the morning.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's higher than you'd want it, but some people understand this. Some people do get what's called the dawn phenomenon when they're on a low carbohydrate diet. When you wake up in the morning, your cortisol goes up to raise your blood glucose levels. Right, so a lot of people, when they wake up in the morning, they'll see elevated blood glucose levels. You have your cortisol going up to mobilize your body. Fasting after that, fasting for longer, sometimes just gives you elevated cortisol and elevated blood glucose level for even longer. So fasting is not necessarily the answer to that. Sometimes eating early in the morning, having a decent meal of protein and fat, and then going for like a 15 to 30 minute walk would be a way better way to get the blood glucose levels down. All right, so when you wake up, those blood glucose levels are a little high. Go for a walk around the block and then measure again and see where they're at. You might find that they dropped 15, 20 points just from a little walk. You might find that eating a meal in the morning is going to help you with satiety. And you get that morning meal in, you might be hungry again at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then that could be your last meal if you're not hungry during the evening. All right, so then you'd be fasting during the evening hours and then waking up in the morning having another meal. So it could just be a transient, slightly elevated blood glucose level that you're seeing. I'm hearing a lot of static from the microphone there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it sounded like someone was ruffling around. Yeah, so try that. Have a meal in the morning. Go for a 15 to 30 minute walk after that meal and see if that helps.
Okay.
And what about the cravings and stuff? How are you doing as far as like cravings and everything since Monday?
I'm doing well actually. I thought I was really gonna trigger everything, but it's actually, you know what? I'm sorry. There's an echo, and it's really distracting me. Eating my meat and kind of just.
Hey, did the echo go away? Can you still hear the echo? Does anybody have their microphone not muted? I muted Heidi a little bit ago because hers was echoing, um, but mine, I'm muting mine manually, so you shouldn't get an echo unless. Okay, yeah, it's from Heidi.
There you
Okay,
go.
all right.
I think that
Well,
that helped.
yeah, Heidi just took off. I had her muted, but I guess it would just mute her for me. Heidi, jump back in and click the microphone icon and just mute yourself, and we won't hear the echo coming through your speakers. Are you
There
on
you go.
mobile? She's
It's
on
gone.
mobile. Yeah, it's because Heidi left though. Now she can't hear. She's like, I just left.
I'll type to her.
Jessica's gonna type to her. She didn't even hear. I'm talking
Okay.
to her, and I'm assuming she's hearing, but she's just in the text chat over there, so she can't hear me. All right.
Okay. Yeah. So, of what I'm eating, but I'm just, yeah, not interested to eat. I'm forcing myself to eat, really.
Well, that's good. I mean, the fact that you're not hungry, and for everybody listening to this later on, I'm so sorry. I was manually muting the microphone, forgetting that I was recording Janet's voice through this microphone. So I was trying to eliminate the echo, and I just lost the audio for Janet. So I apologize for people listening to this later on. She was saying that she feels good, she's satiated, and she's not hungry for those listening to the replay. So her hunger is very low, which is great. She's trying to lose body fat. Hunger being low is indicative of being in a fat burning mode. Her body's ready to burn that body fat, which is really, really good. So get that meal in the morning, and maybe if you get your last meal in by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, have 2 meals, maybe a meal at 7 in the morning, a meal at 3 in the afternoon. Get a good walk in after that meal, and your hunger is going to stay low. Your blood glucose will stay stable, and you're going to be able to burn more body fat. So try and get to about the protein level that we talked about. See if you can get about 1.5 pounds of meat in a day, or at least a pound of meat a day. If you're just not hungry at all, you can stop at 16 ounces of meat, and let yourself burn that body fat. Right. Once you get closer to your ideal weight, of course you'll eat more fat. But for now, if your hunger's low, we can just allow you to burn body fat without going too low on the fat to where you're starving, right? We want to find that nice balance where you're getting enough food to where you're satiated, burning body fat easily, getting the progress you need and want, without stressing the body out too much. That's the goal.
Okay. All right. But yeah, other than that, I've been okay. So I'm just gonna keep going, and hopefully this week it ends with a good note.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thanks for sharing. Glad you're doing well. Let us know how the week goes.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Tristan.
All right. Bye bye. Suzanne, I don't know if you're here still, Suzanne. Feel free.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Sorry, I was fast.
No problem. You're breaking up a little bit. Sounds like you might. Are you on mobile? No, you're on a. Yeah, you're on a mobile device. You were getting a little
Yeah,
bit of static there. Can you hear me? Okay. Am I clear?
yeah, you're loud. Is that any better on
It's breaking up a lot. I'm getting about half of every word.
range? It's the same one I've been using. Huh.
Try reconnecting. Just leave the voice chat and come back, and maybe you'll get a better connection.
Better?
A little bit. Let's try. Just we'll see what happens. How's the week been so far with the adjustments we talked about?
Um, Good. I think 2 meals a day.
I caught 2 meals a day
And good.
and good. I caught that there was good
Yeah.
and it was 2 meals a day, which is great. I'm sorry, it might be my connection, but the other voices were coming through. So I think you just might have maybe you have a poor connection or I've got a poor connection over here. Um, you can hear me.
Okay.
That was a little better. um,
Yeah.
all right, so 2 meals a day and you feel satiated.
Yes. Yeah.
What time are you eating the first meal?
You the 7 and 8.
Okay,
The second meal around 30.
great, great. We're still getting a poor connection, but it sounds like we're on track. I don't know if we should maybe if you have any questions, it might be better to type them to me because I'm only getting like half of the audio feeding through. Sorry, Suzanne. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Do you have any questions about anything in specific? Do you have anything you're struggling with or anything you'd like to ask? Cool, Suzanne. Feel free just if you have any questions, type them in the main chat. I'll just look out for any questions you got. In the meantime, we'll jump in with Jesse. What's up, Jesse? Jesse, can you hear me? Are you around? Or Bart? How's it going, Bart? Oh, there's Jesse.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing today?
I'm okay.
Just okay.
Yeah, well, I had a little setback. Um, Now I have degenerative disc disease, and I've had no problems since I've been keto. So for over 2 years, I've been kind of managing it through
Yeah.
diet, and I just threw my back out on Tuesday, and for no reason, I just moved, like I literally just
Oh no.
moved, and so I guess eating wise, I don't care what I'm eating right now because I'm just in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So I'm not really focusing on that. I'm just, making sure to get in some nutrients and call it good.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy. But what I'd like to know from you is when you are recovering from back injury, and you're building yourself back up, what are some good, like exercise tips? Because, the pain is starting to subside, the spasming is gone at least.
Yeah.
So what I need to do is, build myself back up so I don't lock up.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, like I need some good core strength exercises that are not going to, set me backwards.
Yeah, you know what? I think the best thing to look into, there's something called DNS. That's the Prague School of Rehabilitation, and it's called DNS, Dynamic Neuromuscular Stabilization. And
Okay.
what you're doing, if you could find a DNS practitioner in your area, there are osteopaths and chiropractors that study this, and there might even be physical therapists in the area that study this, but it's not huge, but it's very, very effective, and it's essentially they're bringing you through basic developmental movement patterns that you would be learning as a child, right? Like, so from the time when you're a newborn baby up to crawling, there's a certain sequence of movements that you work on. to stabilize neurologically your body, and you start basically on the ground, and then you move to turning over on all fours, and then eventually crawling, and then walking
Right.
in the gait cycle. So it's just basic movements. If you look up DNS poster
Okay.
on Google Images, you can see the basic
Okay.
movements that you're going through. Look, just a quick search. Jessica, can you find the DNS poster and post it in there for us, please? Sorry, I know you're. Um, so in the main chat, Jessica's going to find one of these DNS poster images. DNS also means, yeah, is it there?
Yes.
Cool. All right. DNS also is a web design like concept. So there's other stuff about DNS. It's hard to find what you're looking for. But we're gonna give you this image right here. Um,
Okay. Very cool.
yeah, it's really helpful.
Awesome.
And then also nutrition's important as well. Like you need to get collagen-rich foods in. So I would focus on things like broth, good fats, right? Really, really important.
Mm.
Sufficient protein, good fats, broth, and then things that can relax the body, right? So like baths or sauna, swimming,
Sure.
right? So like deloading the back, deloading the spine, not necessarily
Sure.
like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of you don't want to do probably don't want to do yoga. That might not be a good
Oh,
idea.
really? Okay.
Well,
Oh, wow.
I'm not a big
I was
fan.
actually thinking like, okay.
Think about this.
Because I
You're
know
focusing
that.
on hypermobility when you're doing yoga. And a lot of these poses,
Hmm.
you're getting hypermobility in areas where you don't want hypermobility. And
Okay.
that's why when
Yeah.
you look at this, look at the DNS poster. See, these are very, very carefully constructed movements that are physiologically not going to be putting you in situations that are going to compromise your stability of your spine. Right? Do you see the image I'm talking
Okay.
about? So you see how the baby's moving. You don't see that baby putting his leg over its head. You don't see that baby doing, exaggerated hyperextension of the lumbar, and it's like you're not seeing those type of movements. It's about stability. It's about being able to carry the load of your body through space with minimal stress on the joints, with minimal stress, and some areas need to be tight, and then some areas might need to be loosened. So that's why doing basic realistic movement patterns rather than intense stuff like yoga, avoiding things like CrossFit, Olympic weightlifting, definitely avoiding.
Sure.
Um,
Oh, yeah. I'm not an Olympic weightlifter. That's not a
yeah,
problem.
yeah, you're not going to be wanting to do like, heavy things that are going to really load the joints in weird ways and load the back up in weird ways. Avoiding that. So just, yeah, I think that's
Okay.
the best advice I can give is looking into DNS, maybe looking into working with a physical therapist or a chiropractor or an osteopath who is trained in DNS. That could be really good.
Okay.
So sorry to
Yeah,
hear
no, that
that.
sounds good.
Sorry to hear that. But nutrition's big on
Yeah.
that too. Magnesium, right? Epsom salt
Yeah,
baths.
I've been taking the magnesium, and I've been rubbing the magnesium oil
Yes.
like into my skin, and I have a CBD oil. I don't know if that's a good idea, but it sounds like a good idea. So I've been
Probably,
rubbing a CBD oil.
if it's strong enough, it can be good. But most of them are, I don't know. Most of the CBD products out there.
I don't feel like it penetrates in like it takes the kind of the surface nerve pain away a little bit, but
Yeah.
there's no way to dig it deep in because it's like deep in the core of my spine.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, so that's why
but yeah.
movement. You want to look at movement, and even just making sure you're using your diaphragm when you're breathing.
Hmm.
All right, making sure because a lot of
Okay.
the midsection stuff can get locked up when you have back pain, right? Like you might not even be breathing properly or using your legs properly. So just going through the basic DNS stuff, it's about a lot of it has to do with diaphragm stabilization. Like if you look at the DNS chart,
Right.
when you start out, you're laying on your belly and gradually lifting your head up. Like that's the first movements a child does. That's all stabilizing with the diaphragm and using your core from the ground position, which is the most basic
Okay.
movement pattern you first start learning. Then it's laying on your back, lifting your legs up, right? Then it's moving on your side and balancing on your side and being able to turn over off of the bed or the ground using your arms and your
Hmm.
legs, and then eventually you're doing kind of almost like a prone position where your legs are on the ground and you're lifting yourself up and like not even a full push up, but moving towards the crawling position, right? So it's a very specific sequence that you're doing, and all of this is going to help with the diaphragm, help stabilize the body, and it's just you're spending time doing these basic movements that you would watch a toddler do. It's
Sure,
boring.
my
It's
kids are gonna love this.
Yeah, they're gonna laugh at you. You can hang out on the ground with them,
Oh
and
yeah.
kids like this stuff too. Kids love crawling around on all fours and that kind of
Right.
stuff because these are the exercises and movement patterns that are super important. And then eventually, as you see, it's like you're doing stuff like getting on all fours, doing a bear crawl type thing, and then standing up and walking. So that's that's the kind of the basic progression of it, and I think that'll help.
Okay, so pretend that I'm healed up again and back to normal.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that I do like, because I know that when I was exercising more, I've gotten lazy. I know that I have been strengthening my core kind of naturally,
Yeah.
but like I haven't been paying as much attention to my core. Do you think I should just go back to gradually working into planks and things like that?
Yeah, that can be
Because I
good.
know that I need to
Planks,
support that
also
spine.
hanging from a bar, like if you haven't, just a dead hang,
Okay.
right? Breathing into
What
a
do you
dead
think of
hang.
inversion tables? I have one of those. I've never used it, but I have one.
I mean, it just depends on the injury, right? I mean, there could be
Yeah.
situations where it's like pulling the legs might be bad. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
it really comes down to your own injury. It's like I've dealt with back pain and stuff, and sometimes inverting and hanging is great. Sometimes running feels good. Sometimes running is the worst thing you can do. It really depends on what's going on physiologically. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
it could
I'm
potentially
sure you
be.
got to be careful too to
Right.
not give the wrong advice.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like
Yeah, just so you know.
I can't. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not there with you. I can't see what's going on in the body. So these are things to look into, but to apply any tool that you're using. Like if you got an injury, you got the injury just doing daily chores, right? That's when most athletes, like, they're not getting injured. Football players and stuff, when they throw out their back, fighters and stuff, they don't get injured in fights. It's like they sneeze and they throw their back out,
Right.
right? It's the Daniel
Right.
Cormier, he sneezed and he threw his back out. He needed surgery after that, after sneezing and throwing his back out. So it's not yeah, it's a weird thing. These injuries, they happen. The weaknesses build up, the imbalances build up, and then it just takes a little bit of a jolt in the wrong direction, and the networks of collagen give way or whatever happens. Uh, so yeah, the rehabilitation, it is very individualized for sure. Like if I just told you, oh yeah, we'll do
Right.
crunches might be like one of the worst things you can do. Pull-ups usually are pretty good, right? Strengthening the back, the upper back, and strengthening the diaphragm, making sure to breathe. So like dead hangs, hanging from a bar, pull-ups, leg lifts, stuff like that. Those are lower
Okay.
risk, right? What you'd want to avoid is like, probably don't want to be doing back squats or lunge jumping or anything like that. Probably don't want to
Sure.
sprint, so swimming, usually really good.
Okay.
Swim sprints, like this is a great way to strengthen your whole body without loading up in the same way that caused the injury. So I think looking into
Right.
all those, maybe doing some sauna, um, and
Ooh, that sounds so nice.
yeah, sauna's gonna be nice. Heat, like,
Yeah.
sit by a fire and get your back as close to it as possible and just super heat that thing on that spot. Hot rocks, heat up a rock on the stove and then put it on that
Hmm.
spot under your back. So sometimes, like, applying heat at the right time or even cold at the right time can be helpful. Um, a lot of these things can be, they're all tools, a lot of different tools you can implement.
Sure. No, that sounds great. And you're right about the nutrition. Like the last couple of days, I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to eat so that I'm done because I don't, when you don't feel good, you don't feel like eating. But
Yeah.
I suppose I should pay more attention to that.
Just get good foods in that you can palate, right? I mean, nice animal fat and protein.
Right.
It's gonna help build.
Sure.
Some shellfish
Absolutely.
once a week. Some get like real rich in zinc foods, like some shellfish if you have if you have them available. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, just good variety of high quality foods. A little bit of liver every once in a while could be a good idea. Bone broth, right? Lots of broth, lots of collagen. That's a great.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're doing steaks, collagen-rich steaks would be, ribeyes got a lot of collagen and fat. T-bones and porterhouses, a lot of collagen in them. Uh, as
What do you
opposed,
think about?
go ahead.
I've seen people post that they make a broth out of chicken feet. Do you think that's a good idea, or is
Yeah,
the chicken not?
it's a great idea if it's good chicken. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I don't know where to find good chicken. You know, like there's a Chinese market that sells chicken feet. Are your chickens good? You know, like they're not gonna
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah. No, they're probably
So that's the
most
challenge.
are commercial chickens eating soy and corn, so you're better off with bone broth made from ruminant animals. Usually going to be a
Okay.
better nutrient profile. Shellfish, really good source of nutrition. Things like lobster, crab, oysters, mussels. Those are really good. Lots of micronutrients.
Mm.
I'm trying to think
Oh,
of.
you know about mussels, like mussels and what are some other shellfish that I'm thinking? Or are they? It says that there's like when I look up the charts, there are carbs in like some of these shellfish
Yeah,
or
there's carbs in all
something.
animal
Is that?
foods. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about that. All
But I've just
carbs are
noticed
not
that
bad.
some,
There's
like I think
yeah,
like mussels, I think are higher than some of the other ones, and I was wondering if that's something that I should do more at a limit.
liver is higher also. Liver has plenty of carbs. No, it's
Oh
I
yes,
wouldn't you don't need to worry about it. Eggs have
worry about that. Okay,
1 gram of carb per egg.
right, that's true. Okay, no worries about that then. Just don't eat the crappy garbage, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, just and not all carbs are bad, right? I mean, there's carbs that
Right,
are really low quality, and then there's carbs that are digestible and that are good. So it's about
right.
context.
So what are you thinking about like the chia and the flax and things like that? Are they going to have restorative properties or
No,
is that
no.
something
You're looking at
I have?
very high oxalate foods there. So
Oh, yeah, they do have a high
they have a high oxalate
Yeah,
content, and when
because
you're trying to repair bones, when you're trying to repair disc stuff, oxalates can exacerbate that and can get stored in those areas and create more pain, more inflammation, and worse situation.
yeah, no, I don't want that. I
Yeah,
don't want
so I would
that for
avoid
sure.
those. I would avoid seeds, avoid seed oils, avoid nuts. Go for animal foods. And if you want, yeah, I mean, animal foods, eggs, shellfish, ruminant animals, some chicken and pork now and then, but focusing mostly um, on ruminant animals, fish, shellfish,
Okay.
butter, right? Butter, good source of K2. Maybe even taking a vitamin D with K2.
Okay.
Vitamin D with K2, just get a cheap bottle of drops. It might be like $30 for a 3 month supply. I don't know, maybe like 5,000 to 10,000 IU's of vitamin D, depending on what you're.
So
Go ahead.
I I used to get a vitamin D3K2, but the carrier in it was spirulina, and I used to get that 'cause I thought, oh, that sounds really cool, but now I'm not sure, so I
It's
stopped
fine.
getting it.
It's not bad. Spirulina,
It
yeah, it's not gonna be. But you could probably find what I would get is just get one that's in a bottle with droppers, like a liquid dropper bottle, and it's just gonna have
okay.
the carrier is probably gonna be extra virgin olive oil.
I gotta get Sydney. Sorry. Okay.
It might be MCT oil as a carrier as well, but it's like it's you're getting one little drop, so it's minimal additives or anything like that. You're just getting like a couple drops of olive oil or MCT oil.
Sure.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the injury. That's never fun. But
You know, it's kind of a bummer because you know I love to brag about keto has fixed everything, and I mean honestly the fact of the matter is that when you have degenerative disc disease, you just have it and you can manage it, but you know this stuff is going to happen because the damage was done a long time ago. So you just got to deal with it, I guess.
yeah. No, I mean I think you could definitely have um, there's a lot of people that regenerate, right? But nutrition is important, and what you do is really important. Not re-injuring yourself is important. A lot of people do
Right.
reverse damage, and a lot of people do. There have been many people with degenerative disc disease who have regenerated tissue in there.
And
So
I hope so, because I was kind of under the belief that I was in the clear. You know, you get cocky. Like, I fixed all my health issues. I'm like perfectly fine now and I have no problem. And then you get cocky and nothing happens. I guess, keep moving forward, but always be prepared, if something does happen, like know how to handle it.
Yep. Yep. No, I think you're on the right path. Don't don't let yourself feel defeated, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the advice. I'll definitely playing with this chart,
All right, Jesse.
causing a good heckle for my kids.
Cool, Jesse. Well, have a good one.
So, yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
No problem. Bye bye.
Bye.
Heidi. ¿Qué pasa, Heidi? Feel free to unmute.
Oh,
Oh, go ahead and mute yourself, Jesse. Heidi, if you want to unmute.
ah,
Hey, Jesse, will you mute your mic?
yeah, sorry, I'm trying to. It's not muting.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
Jessica, you could serve or mute her, but you have to remember. All right, Heidi, if you want to unmute, you may. Feel free. If not, we'll jump up to Bart. I think she's at school right now, so she might not be able to jump.
Actually, I can hear Heidi. She's just very quiet.
She's muted. Did I mute her? Oh no, I muted her. Okay, hold on. Now, all right, Bart. Sorry, you're right. I had her muted on my end because. All right. There's an echo. Hey Bart, can you mute yourself, Bart?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey Heidi,
Hi there.
how's it going?
I'm so sorry for the inconvenience I caused because I'm at school, so I'm working, and like it was also bothering the sound in here, so I was trying to do things and I just couldn't, so.
Oh, you don't need to apologize. It's all good. Don't worry. I'm getting an echo from your mic, but how's it going? How's this week been?
No, it's okay. I can hear you clearly. It's probably because of the AC. Let me move.
It's just because of my volume. If you put on headphones, it wouldn't happen. Because it's going through your mic and it's playing my voice again.
Okay, so I should take the headphones out.
I would use the headphones maybe. Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So sorry.
All right. There's an echo still. I'm still hearing my voice.
I don't know what's happening.
Do you have headphones that you can use so that it doesn't go through the speaker?
So, do I use my headphones or do I take them out?
I would
Because
use
I
them.
already did.
Because every time I talk, I hear my voice coming back.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. I do.
Okay, I still hear the echo, but I'll just deal with it.
I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm happy to be here. Sorry for not being able to join the other days, but I just hadn't gotten a hang of the whole app, and I was also busy in classes. So one of the classes, I think the one on Monday, it's gonna always crash with my scheduling here.
Yeah, no worries. That's why it's cool. We record everything, so you're able to access all the recordings whenever you need. You got full support here. So even if you can't make the voice chats, you can send your questions before we go, and we can answer the questions during it. Or you can ask us separately, and we can answer you.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
How the last couple of weeks been? How's the diet going?
Well, so let me tell you, I don't know if it's really related to that, but since this week that I have started, I have been eating, I don't know, like it has made me realize how little protein I was eating because this past week, or since the Wednesday, I think I started, I don't know, like things have been changing, and it made me realize how little I have been eating actually,
Yeah.
and the portions that I was eating didn't even match what I was supposed to be eating for normal keto. Okay, so
Yeah.
I have been noticing that.
So do you find that you're more
And
satiated? Are you less hungry now?
yeah, more satiated. I have been able to fight better or the cravings from PMS this week. I have been able to, I don't know, keep a hold of my temperature, body temperature, uh, because I'm always cold.
Yeah.
And I think that was a matter of, I don't know, electrolytes or things like that.
It could also be that you were
But
under eating protein and your thyroid was slowing
what?
down.
Yeah. Something like that has happened, but I don't know, like, what's the level or the degree of damage in there.
Right.
So one thing that makes me want to do well is the fact that I want to get back to normal. So I don't feel normal anymore. My normal, since I started to lose weight, like, has changed, and I'm way past my normal weight now. So I want to get back to that. And I have been feeling better these days just for eating more and not being so cold all the time and fighting the cravings. So that was something that I couldn't do easily. Like, I would try to manage my intake, my calorie intake, my diet, but it was pretty hard because I was always hungry. So I ate whatever I could find. And so that's like being more in control these days. And I don't know if it's related to that.
Yeah, when you get enough protein, when you're getting enough of the animal foods, what you're gonna find is just in general, all right. So I'm hearing a lot of here. Let me just mute for a sec. When you're getting the foods you need, when you're getting the nutrition in you need, you're going to find that your hunger goes down, that you feel better, that you function better. I mean, you've been kind of back and forth between sticking with the diet and then going off the rails. And what we want to do is find a way to where you can maintain it easily, right? You got to make sure you're getting it you got to get at least 16 ounces of protein source per day, right? And from you, the best sources are going to be beef, right? So either steaks or bone broth, slow cooked meat, ground beef, whichever one you want to have regularly. You can cycle those in and out, but focus on getting those nutrients in. Maybe liver once a week, a little bit of lengua, getting different cuts of meat in, getting enough fat and protein. If you don't have enough calories, thyroid's going to decrease. You're going to be colder. You're not going to feel as good. So we want to make sure you're getting the nutrients you need, and we got to get you back to that weight that you want to be at. So I think we're on the right track. You've put in a lot of the work already for building the foundation, and we just got to keep this going and keep moving on it.
Yeah, one thing that I'm still not clear about is how much I am supposed to be eating, because I'm trying to get a minimum of 120 grams of protein a day, and this is besides isopure pack that I have in there, a bottle that I have, and I take like 1 scoop a day, and that's just extra because I want to finish it, and I don't know, I just don't want it to go to waste.
All right, well, don't worry about the isopure protein. That's not the type of protein we need. We need protein from food, right? So when you're finished with the bottle, don't buy it again. You need to get at least 8 ounces of beef in 2 times a day. All right, so that means at least half a pound, 500 grams, or not 500 grams. What was it? Half a pound was like 256 or something, right? Get at least 250 grams of beef or ruminant animal per day in the morning, and then another meal later in the afternoon. If you have 3 meals, that's fine. But you need to get at least 16 ounces of a good quality protein source in per day. That's a good start. We want to make it as simple as possible, right? We don't have to. We don't want to overcomplicate this. So you're looking at per day at least 1 to 1.5 pound of meat. So that can be 3/4 of a pound for breakfast, 3/4 of a pound for dinner. That can be half a pound for breakfast, half pound for lunch, half pound for dinner. Just keep it simple. Eat when you're at home when you can, right? Before you leave home, you want to have been fed, right? Go for a 10 to 15-minute walk after these meals and consistently get in enough protein, especially in the morning, and try not to snack and avoid eating late at night.
It's a big trouble for me because I have like a pretty hectic schedule and I work from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m.
Right.
So I do 2 full shifts every day from Monday till Saturday. So it's kind of difficult for me to have like not eat late at night because that's usually the time I do dinner. And but I'll try. One thing that I have noticed these days is like I get like I wasn't before I started to gain more weight. I wasn't able to like hold for breakfast like I used to do.
Yeah.
Like I would eat breakfast at 10 or 12 or 1 or 2 without any trouble. I would start my first meal at that time, but now like it's easier just because I'm eating more. And another thing, like incorporating more fats, like last year or so I have been depending on like chicken breast, and that tastes like complete ass. So relying now more in fattier cuts, especially beef that I love. And you know how good Ecuadorian beef is.
So good.
So
You ever get the steaks from Supermaxi? Do you have good steaks in Supermaxi there?
yeah. Well, I try not to buy it in Supermax. It's way too expensive.
Yeah, it's more expensive,
My
but they have some
butcher
good steaks.
gets a job done. Yeah, but they have pretty nice cuts in there. And incorporating more fats into my diet, like it has been a true blessing because like I was feeling like I was gonna die if I saw another chicken breast. Yeah, like yesterday, my mother brought me some lunch and she brought me chicken thighs. And I haven't eaten a chicken thigh like in years. And she brought me 2 or 3, I don't remember. But I just opened the dish and for me it was the most delicious thing that I have tasted.
That's so cool. There you go. Well, see,
Yeah.
and your body knows that it wants these types of food. Your body's giving you the signals that what you're doing is right, and you feel better. So this is great. You're on track, and it's only been like a week.
Yeah, because I just started on Wednesday.
Oh, nice. So it's been 1 week.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to catch up with all the podcasts and the recordings, so that's one thing that I will try to finish these days. So I just noticed that there are many channels in here and I can check other things.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized that.
The meal prep section is really good. So
Yeah. I'm doing that, and I actually downloaded it and translated. I'm translating it for my mom.
Oh, that's so
'Cause
sweet.
I really don't have the time to cook, but she knows everything that there is to know about my diet, and she does it for herself also. Like she has lost a lot of weight, and she has started to pay attention that she has to eat more protein, which is something she usually doesn't do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Especially because she's older.
Right. Well, when you look at the standard Ecuadorian diet and the foods that they regularly eat, it's not so bad, but what's happened is a lot of this vegetable oil stuff has creeped in there. So people are eating chicken and it'll be fried in vegetable oil, and then they'll have yuca, which is not so bad, but then it's fried in vegetable oil. So there's all this vegetable oil that creeps into all these foods, and I think that's a lot of the problem here is people are eating a lot of rice and yuca, which rice is not so bad on its own, right? Like butter is a great food. Butter's a great fat. they're replacing butter with vegetable oils. And when you go to these restaurants, most of the Ecuadorian restaurants, they're using the cheap vegetable oil, the imported crap vegetable oil. And this is creating a lot of problems for people. So if you could just get her focusing on the meat, the animal fats, and, less rice, less yuca, then eventually once she loses the weight and when she's healthy, she can have some rice and yuca, but just have a little bit of butter with it, right? None of the vegetable oils. Go for the good quality fats and proteins first. Build the foundation of that. And the vegetable oils are the biggest offender in kind of the South American diets, and all the sugars and the breads and stuff like that. Focus on the animal fats and you'll be good.
Okay, one question that I have is, well, I already know that it should be like 1.5 pounds of meat per day or something like that in regards to protein, but how does that compare to fats? How much should I manage to eat? Because
Good question.
it's kind of like when I get fattier cuts, I really don't know how much I'm eating.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. We
I
never
try
really
ice.
know. We never really know, right? But if you're getting at least a half pound in of meat per serving, and it's fattier, you're gonna be fine, right? If you're getting a super lean meat, like if you're getting sirloin, lomo fino, or something like that, you're not gonna have a lot of fat on it. But if you're getting fatty cuts, you're gonna be fine as far as the fat goes. Look, when you're looking at most fatty cuts of meat, you're looking everywhere from like 0.7 to 1 gram of fat per gram of protein, right? If you get 1 gram of fat per gram of protein on a super fatty ribeye, that's great. That's like the fattier end. But usually it's like, 0.7, sometimes as low as half a gram of fat per gram of protein, and that's going to be good. So you don't necessarily need to worry about adding too much fat. If it's very lean, then maybe having some butter, maybe having a fat source, but you can have, if you have a leaner cut in the morning and then a fattier cut in the evening, you can be fine. It's going to balance out for the most part. If you focus on the raw weight of the meat and just focus on getting half a pound in at least a couple times a day of a good protein source, you're going to be getting enough fat and you're going to be getting enough protein, right? So we don't need to overcomplicate things. We want to make sure you're satiated, make sure you have energy, that your body's functioning and hormonally you're functioning well, and set up the habits to where you're not having to worry about, nitpicking every gram of fat and protein, right? Because if you take two fatty cuts of meat right next to each other, one of them might have 30% more fat, and it's the same cut technically from the same animal, but it's just got more fat on it because that's where the fat laid on the animal.
Okay, that's good to know then. Okay, so I'll try to do that and let's see where it goes.
Yes, yeah, we want to keep it simple and want it to be enjoyable and fun. But you're doing well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I got a question. Do you know if there's another Pardo starting on the
What?
third? Is there? Sorry, I'm echoing, so I don't hear myself. Is there another protest starting on the 30th? Have you heard about this?
They have been saying things like that in regards to, I don't know, labor
Yeah,
issues that
yeah.
they are having, but we don't know anything yet. Apparently, they are preparing to, I don't know, provide a measures package or things, political actions before the holiday. So I wouldn't take it lightly. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it might happen.
Yeah, it seems like something's building up. Hopefully it's peaceful because the last one was crazy. All right, we just wondering,
Yeah.
just wondering if you heard about it, because some people were telling us that they're gonna have labor strikes, and a lot of this it's probably gonna be more civil workers, and because they're upset about the benefits being slashed and the vacation time being cut, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
Hopefully not. I hope nothing bad happens this time.
Yeah, this guy's kind of crazy. It seems like he kind of showed what
Yeah.
what he's willing to go all the way. All right, cool. Well, Heidi,
Yeah, he sure is.
thanks for sharing, Heidi. Really appreciate it, and let me know if you need anything.
Okay.
All right.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a great week. Go ahead and mute yourself. Cool. All right. What's up, Bart?
Hey, how's it going?
Great, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. I've had a couple of setbacks. I mean, just got a little off track the last couple days, and just some unexpected events kind of happening. And that's always my Achilles heel, is kind of adapting to that. So not too bad though. Still eating all right and all. Just been eating later and not getting as much sleep last couple nights.
Oh, that's not
Today I'm kind of
that's not
starting to
bad,
catch up to
man.
me.
If you so the eating, you're still eating the right foods. You're just a little bit later, not sleeping as much, and maybe not measuring as much, but you're still on point with the food choices.
Yeah, I think so. I'm
Good.
still doing all right there. I had kind of meal planned the week,
Yeah.
so that saved me. Because I already knew what I was making, and luckily I had the slow cooker meal. I did that
Yes.
slow cooked beef stew from the cookbook. That was amazing.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
that was good. I was able to just kind of throw that in and take care of what I needed to take care of, and then all of us kind of ate when we were able to. So that did work out, but I was eating at like 8. And I've kind of only been getting like 6 hours of sleep, getting to bed around midnight or so,
Yeah.
which
It
don't
happens.
feel as good, kind of blah and dragging a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad or terrible, but I've definitely noticed the difference.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Well, I'm happy for you, man. And you say it's a setback, but it sounds to me like you were tested and you stood your ground. Like I don't see any setback happening. I see, well, the meal timing wasn't optimal, but that's not the most important thing. Most important thing is you're not, binging on the old habits. Jumping right back into the old ways. Like you set yourself up with the meal planning, which everybody listening, take notes. The meal planning and planning out the meals and prepping the meals beforehand, they can be a real lifesaver, especially if you get some sudden stressors. And a slow cooker, great tool to have around. That's a really good one to have, especially if you got kids. You got a meal where you can just pull out 2 meals from the slow cooker without having to prep anything while it's on the pot. So I think you've done really well, man. I'm not hearing you say setback, but I'm hearing victories.
So thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just don't feel as good as I did last week, and I've missed my workouts the last couple days too. So I think that's part of it.
Yep.
I mean, I definitely I appreciate your opinion because it definitely is. I was looking at it differently. So,
Well,
but when I hear you say it that way, I guess I didn't do too bad after all.
no, I mean, it's like you could do better and you know it, which is also good, right? So, I mean, don't pat yourself on the back too much, but don't beat yourself up too much either, kind of a thing, I mean, so you've learned a weakness, and it sounded to me like you had some victories over the possible weakness there, and I think it's just you set yourself up to where next time it's not such a big deal. The poor sleep might have been unavoidable, but there's things you can do. I mean, like Epsom salt bath, little magnesium in the bath. That can be nice for relaxing the muscles and hopefully getting to sleep. But if there's just unavoidable stressors that come, sometimes that stuff happens. Now, if you missed your workout, what you might want to do is throw a couple extra 15-minute walks in there during the day, right? Just get out, move the body, move the legs, walk around the block, or walk around a couple blocks, 10 to 15 minutes, and then you're back to your task. That can help the blood glucose levels. That can help drop the hunger. And, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing, man. I mean, there's nothing that you did blaringly wrong. It sounds like maybe next time you'll do it better, and you mapped out the territory, and you're getting to know yourself a little bit better in these stressful situations. So I'm stoked for you.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. I feel better about it now, hearing your perspective. So that's awesome. Yeah. And again, I just, kind of just getting back into the routine. That's all I can do. So I'll get back in the gym tonight and just try to get my meals in early and just kind of pick up where I left off. So yeah, I'm pretty good, I think.
Perfect, man. That sounds great. So, the weekend's coming up. We'll be here again on Monday. Talk a little bit more about circadian rhythm. Talk about optimizing sleep, which we've had a lot of spoilers on that already. We're gonna get deeper into some of these subjects and talk about optimizing the sleep cycle. So you'll hopefully can be helped. You can hopefully be helped with your sleep issues there. See if we can cover some of that ground on Monday.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, it was good talking. Glad you're doing well, Bart. Thanks for sharing.
Yep, sure thing. Talk to y'all later.
All right, man. Adam. What's up, Adam?
How's it going?
Good, man. How's your week been?
Pretty good. The both kids are feeling better, so that makes everything much easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing I noticed today is just like I thought the mental kind of clarity and focus like kind of already hit me, but today I'm just like totally feeling it. way more. I've got more stuff done today than I have like in a long time in the morning.
Awesome, awesome. And so you wake up, you kind of get out of bed, you're not sore, you're wide awake, and you're ready to start the day.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's perfect, man. That's perfect. And you're sleeping well. You lay down, you fall asleep easily.
Yes,
Beautiful.
because past couple was the only one. Before when the kid was really sick, like a couple nights he like slept basically like on top of me in a chair because that was the only way. But yeah, past couple nights he slept, and last night was just like a normal night, so I had a normal night too in my bed and everything.
Cool. All right, man. Well, yeah. It's sometimes after those nights where you get really bad sleep, you just feel so groggy that after that, when you normalize, you appreciate it so much more. You
Yeah,
appreciate how your body functions when you're well rested, when you're well fed. If you've been performing suboptimally, when you suddenly click in, it's just like I'm back. I feel better. Feels good.
yeah, but yeah, everything else has been pretty good. Uh, putting together the stuff to try out the what they call pickled eggs from the Carnivore Cookbook.
That's cool.
Nice. I
Oh,
like
you're
I've never
those.
had them
gonna like
before, but
those.
I love the eggs. I love pickled things. So
Yeah.
We didn't have those in a long
They're
time.
super
I really
easy
like
to
them.
make. They're really easy to make, and I bet your kids will like them. Cause
yeah,
they're
that'd be awesome if the kids like them.
yeah, they're kind of tangy, and the texture's cool.
Yeah,
It's like the white part firms up, and it gets kind of it gets firm and almost kind of jiggly, because it's cold and then a little pickled, and the inside, the yolk it's like gummy, gooey. It's really good. Let me know what you think.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. So what else is new, man?
Uh, Nothing much really. The only other question I kind of had that I forgot last time. The other thing I'm interested in is working out is like, just because I know it's all, even when I was like a teenager, it was a deficit of mine. And it's like pull up type strength,
Yeah.
and like so I've been kind of starting to do that. But like, would you recommend doing that like the same days as like kettlebell stuff, like
Yeah.
or
Yeah. No.
alternate day?
When you think about hanging, pull up strength, that's something that you can do. You can do it every day if you don't do it too harsh, right? Like if you're not doing 5 sets and burning yourself out to where you're super sore, you can do a few pull ups every day. So doing hangs every day, that can be really good. I mean, but
Yeah, basically that's what I'm doing now because I can't even do one clean one on my own as of right now without the bands or anything. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I know hanging is a big. Even when like Kyle Snyder came to like a camp one time at our school, and like that's what he would do. Like when everybody was taking a water break, he would just go over to the bars and hang.
yep.
And it's like if a world champion doing that, then anybody can pretty much benefit from that.
Yeah, it's super good. It's super important. Hanging's great. You can do that every day. I mean, as far as like intense pull-ups, 2 to 3 times a week is fine. Few sets, 2 to 3 times a week, especially since you're building up strength and you're looking to. I mean, it's a big pull-up, right? You're holding extra weight too, so it makes it even harder. So I think gradually working your way up to that, not blasting yourself too hard on all those movements, and enjoying the kettlebell stuff. Have you have you been doing with the kettlebells?
I haven't. I'm still kind of doing the traditional. I haven't got the heavier kettlebells yet.
Okay.
So I've just been doing like more traditional work still then with the curls and presses and that kind of stuff. I haven't had a chance to pop over there with the sick kids yet.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, when you get it, let me know. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
the kettlebells are really fun. I like kettlebells. Mine have been sitting around gathering dust. I haven't used them in a few weeks. All right, man. Well, everybody's doing great. We're getting all kinds of progress on all sorts of fronts. So we had a few setbacks. About half the people today had some setbacks, but I think you guys all have a good perspective on where you're going, where you need to go with this, and most of the setbacks they're not like fatal errors on our own parts. Some of this stuff is just things we got to deal with in daily life, and yeah, I'm really really glad that everybody was here to share. Thanks for helping out, guys, and for supporting each other, for sharing with each other. We're going to be back in here again on Monday, same time, and we're going to talk about the circadian rhythm, optimizing sleep and improving our sleep cycle, and talk about some other ways that, beyond just meal timing, that we can influence the circadian rhythm in our sleep. And we'll talk about how that affects things like fat loss, muscle recovery, and soreness, even the immune system. So thanks for hanging out, guys. I'm going to put this recording up as soon as I can. Again, apologies for the gaps in the recording earlier when we were having some technical and mic issues. I blew it and I muted the mic during one of the conversations, so you might hear some blank spots. My apologies for that. Thanks for hanging out, guys. It's been really awesome talking to you this week. It is, Thursday, a little bit after 12 Eastern right now. We'll see you in here on Monday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Bye, everybody.